parallel lines. So parallel lines. So we know parallel lines will not intersect. Will not intersect. And just by looking at the equation of a line, we could tell if they're parallel or not, because one thing we know about parallel lines, they have equal slope. Equal slope. Okay? Parallel lines have equal slope. So if I'm looking at this line, y equals negative 2x over 3 plus 1, and y equals negative 2x over 3 minus 5. Okay? All I'm concerned about is the m's. So we're going to say that m for this is equal to negative 2 over 3, and m for that is equal to negative 2 over 3. And since both of them have equal m's, equal slopes, therefore, we say, therefore, the lines are parallel. Okay? And that's our therefore symbol. So these lines are going to be parallel, and we'll look at two parallel lines in a graph in a second. But remember, equal slopes means that the lines are parallel. They're not going to touch on our coordinate axis. Okay? Parallel lines do not touch. That's the Euclidean definition, so don't worry about that for us. Will not intersect and have equal slopes. So we say these two lines will be parallel. Let's look at an example of that. So I have y equals 1/2 x plus 1, and y equals 1/2 x minus 1. Okay? There's our two lines. We know that the m is 1/2, the m is 1/2, our b is 1, our b is negative 1. Okay? So we want to take a look at the graph of these lines. And then we have x, y, and then first line we start. Let's get our graph in here. Okay? And we start with our positive 1, and we're going to go up 1 over 2. Up 1 over 2. And we'll do another one. We go up 1 over 2. Y equals 1/2 of x plus 1. And now we're going to look at the other line. This one starts at negative 1. And we're going to go up 1 over 2. Up 1 over 2. And there's our other line. And if we extended them out to infinity, we'd say that these lines are parallel. They're not going to touch. So we have parallel lines. Okay, so we see what the parallel lines look at. And that's from, we know that right away because our slopes were equal. 1/2 and 1/2. Equal slopes means the lines are parallel. They're not going to touch. So very important idea. Parallel lines equal slopes. When m is equal to m, when their slopes are equal, those lines are not going to touch. And with parallel lines, the other thing are perpendicular lines. We could also tell the nature of lines if they're perpendicular or not. So here we have perpendicular lines. And what are those? Perpendicular lines form right angles or 90-degree angles. Okay? So perpendicular lines form right angles or 90-degree angles. And what do we know about perpendicular lines? So perpendicular lines, there's our symbol for perpendicular. Their slopes, the slopes are negative reciprocals. Okay? What does that mean? That means that m1 will equal 1 negative 1 over m1. Okay, m will equal 1 over m1. There are negative reciprocals. That's perpendicular lines. We'll look at that in a second. That's an important idea. So parallel lines, we know